What is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, the Kizuna Clash Katakuri has just arrived over here on the global side of the game, and we will be testing those teams that we did preview in our prep video. Now, with the prep video, there was a bit of a blunder, and that blunder was actually that on the first variation, the Psy variation, we're actually going to be coming up against some attack down. Now, the thing with the attack down, it is on the Brûlé stage. So we have changed this team a little bit. We have put the other free-to-play Croc on this team as he can remove attack down. And then we actually have Vasco Shot to remove the rest of the Despair. So this is the new free-to-play team. It's very, very similar. It does use the friend Bege and Shuri as our captain. And with that said, let's dive in. So with this particular team, you ideally want to be running a Capone Pirates friend captain. Otherwise, you're going to be in for a bad time. And obviously, with free-to-play teams, they do need a little bit of help from those high-tier friend captains. So hopefully you guys have, if you are trying this team for whatever reason, you have some really good Capone Pirates or the Fire Tank Pirates friends, as it's going to help you out significantly. Once we hit stage 2, we come up against Brûlé. Now, Brûlé has a 4-turn great barrier for 2 greats, and she gives you 4 turns of attack down. So this is where the Croc's really, really nice, because he can remove that attack down and also give us color affinity, which is also quite handy as well. The Capone Pirates actually have, what's it called? Barrier pen if you do have a good friend captain, so you can actually take advantage of that as well as having barrier pen with something like Vasco Shot, which is really, really handy. Once we hit the final stage against Katakuri, the Moki man himself, a lot of matching orbs in this team too. That's actually really good to see. We do get normal attacks only, and then Katakuri gives us 8 turns of Despair, which will go down to 5 with sockets and another 2 with Shiryu, and he gives us a full board of block orbs. So to get around that Despair, we have Vasco Shot here. Vasco Shot's going to remove that nicely for us. We have the Capone Pirates to rotate those block orbs for us into matching, which is really, really nice, as well as giving us that 5 times captain and an attack boost. We have color affinity with Shiryu, 2 times color affinity, really, really nice. We then have an orb boost with our Camizo. So obviously if you do HP cuts, he heals back, but that doesn't matter. We do have an orb boost with our Camizo. Now it is only a 2 times orb boost because our captain has a int orb. I think if you actually use that first, you might get a 2.25 as it's not a type orb. But then you want to finish it off with page 1. Page 1, you really want to wrap up page 1 at the end. And with super effective against all types with Bege, we have enough damage to easily clap Katakuri. So the first free-to-play team works really, really well. Let's move on to my team now. Alright, so my team against the Psy variation looks a little bit like this. Now, as I mentioned, in the free-to-play team, we did have to include attack down removal, so we have changed the Croc. The Croc is the one that's actually going to be removing the attack down for us. So this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. That free-to-play Croc, the one that came out with like the Halloween slashes, is actually ridiculously good for this particular fight, as he's cerebral and driven, so he does work very nicely under the Halloween slashes, as well as the new driven-based units. So we are just going to get our cooldowns here, which is nice. We do have a full boosted team besides the Croc, as Big Mom vs Kaido and Moria are both boosted in this event as well. So that's what I was saying in my prep video. The damage output that we did see on the calculator is a little bit skewed. Once we hit stage 2, we come up against Brûlé, who has that great barrier, as well as the 4 turns of attack down. We can remove that with Croc, as well as give ourselves color affinity to our int-based units, which is really, really nice. Remember that Capone Pirates actually has barrier pen here, so you do want to actually take advantage of that, but you do actually want to still break the barrier as well. We have enough damage to take out Brûlé, as she's the same color as Katakuri, and that way we can move on to the final stage. Now, against Katakuri, he is obviously a Psy unit. He has full immunity, as well as giving us a full board of block orbs, normal attacks only, and 8 turns of Despair. So with sockets, that goes down to 5. With the Fire Tank Pirates, we can actually rotate those block orbs into matching and give ourselves an attack buff. Now, I've actually stuffed this up. I've totally blundered, and I was meant to actually use the Moria special on the previous turn. That way we can actually get the color affinity buff. But look, we're here now, so we're just going to roll with it. Ideally, you want to use the special of Moria, so that way you get the color affinity buff on this particular stage, and you just get a little bit more damage output. What you can actually do is you can use the Big Mom special as well, hit your 3 perfects, as there is a great barrier, so it's very easy to do, and get the carryover of her orb buff for even more damage. But as you can see here, with all of our buffs, we have an attack boost, we have an orb boost, we should have color affinity, and we have a chain lock, so this particular stage is going to absolutely melt. We also have the super typing of Moria for a little bit more damage as well. So this team is not going to struggle. I don't imagine it should have any issues past like level 50, and it's going to give you guys the max amount of points, provided that you don't have the Fire Tank Pirates. If you have Fire Tank Pirates, just slap them as your captain, drop Moria to a sub, and you're Gucci, basically. You're good to go. or you can just replace Big Mom with the Fire Tank Pirates and keep Mori as your captain for the super typing. Let's move on to the final team now for the Psy variation. Alright, so the final team against the Psy variation doesn't use any of the new boosted units. It is using the Halloween slashers, however, so this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, if you guys are looking for a team that doesn't really rely on using a Fire Tank Pirate friend captain, or doesn't even use the Brook or the Judge, this team should work very, very well. These units have been out for a little while now, and they have been on multiple banners, so hopefully somewhere along the line, you have managed to pick up these Halloween slashes, because they are all very, very good. They all are all very, very strong, and they work very, very well together. Once we hit stage 2, we come up against Brûlé. Now, as I mentioned in the previous 2 teams, we did need to include the free-to-play Croc, as he can actually get around the attack down. It's really, really good, this free-to-play Croc, though, because not only does he remove the attack down, he actually gives us color affinity, which makes this stage a lot easier. But utilizing a friend captain super type lore actually works really, really nicely here, as we can give ourselves an orb boost on this particular stage as well. And all the Halloween slashes have barrier pen, which means that stage just gets absolutely mopped. When we move on to the final stage against Katakuri, however, he does have full immunity and gives us normal attacks only. Now, you can try and use the special of Mihawk on the previous stage and then sort of attack with the Big Mom and the Croc first, so that way you're hitting your perfects. But once we hit this final stage, Katakuri gives us block orbs, and that's where the super typing of Shanks is so damn good. You can actually rotate those block orbs into matching. You can use the Shanks special for even more color affinity on this particular stage, as well as a chain buff. We can then use the Mihawk special. Mihawk's going to give us a 2.25 attack boost, if you guys didn't use it on the previous turn, to get the 2.25 and then the 2.5 on this particular stage. We can remove the defensive effects when they kick in with the Iron special. After stage 30, there's 2 turns of defense up, 4 turns of damage reduction. So double special activation with Iron is great. Otherwise, Mihawk also removes the removes the damage reduction. Because we have over 100,000 HP with Big Mom too, we get a really good base stat boost. We get a 3.5 times chain lock, and this team is just going to absolutely melt Katakuri. So that was the Halloween slashes. Let's move on to the Psy teams now. Alright, so moving on to the int variation now, we are using the free-to-play team. So this is the team, those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, this whole team is free-to-play besides our friend captain, and as I mentioned with the int team, you really want to try and bring up Capone Pirates. They are just going to make your life so much easier, especially for this Psy fight. This particular fight, actually, the Psy team, I should say, has a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. I was really impressed with this particular team, and that actually doesn't include stuff like the super effective against all types with the Capone Pirates, as well as all the boosted units as well. We do have a lot of damage here, so this team should actually work for a very long time. But like I said in the prep video, all these free-to-play teams aren't level 30 plus proof, as there is the different effects for the level 30 plus. On stage 2, we come up against Smoothie. Now, Smoothie's actually going to give us a full board of unfavorable slots, so we can switch into our Psy variations of Capone Pirates and Borsalino and Sakazuki. We can use the special of the White Knight Cavendish to actually give us a full board of orbs. He does remove beneficial effects, but the damage reduction really doesn't matter too much. And then we can get 3 turns of Chainlock with our free-to-play Lin. Getting that 3 turns of Chainlock is actually ridiculously handy, as it helps us take down not only Smoothie, but we can actually carry that into the next stage. And even if we get all of our positive effects wiped, it doesn't actually include Chainlock, as Chainlock can be a negative or a positive buff. Once we hit the Katakuri stage, he is going to give us normal attacks only. He has full immunity, and he special binds our crew for 4 turns. So this is why bringing a friend Fire Tank Pirates is really handy, as we can actually give ourselves a full board of orbs, an attack buff, and remove the special bind. To get around the resilience, we have the captain of Enel, which is great. We have color affinity with our Juan Wolf. Oh, we lose the chain lock. Okay, that is a bit of a blunder on my behalf. So ideally you want to save the Lin special, otherwise you will lose it with Juan. So just be mindful of that. That is something that I actually totally slipped up on when I was making my prep video. So make sure to actually save the Lin special for this final stage. That way you have a 2.75 times chain lock as well. But as you can see, we have enough damage, and with the end of turn damage Enel provides, we can get around that 4 turns of resilience easy peasy. Let's move on to my team against the invariation now though. Alright, so as for my team against the invariation, it looks a little bit like this, led by the super type Boa. So this is the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, the beautiful thing about Boa is she's a shooter captain. or sorry, not a shooter captain. She's a shooter character, and the Capone pirates are a shooter-based captain as well as being driven. So you can sort of do some shenanigans, and you can actually make it work with a shooter boa for the Psy super typing, as well as still getting a buff through the fire tank pirates as well. Boa is technically a rainbow captain. She's not great unless the character's a Psy, but she still can get the job done. Now, what we actually want to do on this second stage against Smoothie, she gives us a full board of unfavorable orbs. We can easily switch with the Capone pirates to give themselves an orb, but we actually want to use the special of Boa. That's going to activate our super typing. We can then use her super type special to give ourselves a full board of orbs, even though we pretty much have a full board of orbs anyway, as well as an attack boost for our Psy units. Now, that 2.5 times attack boost is very similar to Bege's, so we don't really need it per se, so we may as well use it on stage 2. Once we hit the final stage against Katakuri, he has gives us normal attacks only, and he has full immunity. He is going to give us 4 turns of special bind on our crew, and very similar to the free-to-play team, we're actually just going to use the special of the fire tank pirates. With that, we're pretty much Gucci for the rest of the stage, provided you have Enel. Now, Enel gives you end of turn damage, as well as 2.25 color affinity to our Psy units, which is really, really handy. We then have an orb buff with our Alvaro Pizarro. Unfortunately, that orb buff is only for Driven Powerhouse, which doesn't include Boa, but we then have what's it called? The resilience removal with Judge, but we do have end of turn damage anyway, and then we have a chain lock with our Brook unit. And with that, as you guys will see here, we should have enough damage. This team shouldn't struggle. Like I said, very similar to the Int team, my Int team. This team shouldn't struggle unless you're like going up past like level 50. So even level 30 plus, this team is foolproof. So let's move on to the final team for Psy now, or for the Int variation, and let's wrap up that color variation. And moving on to the final Psy team now, we are using a Enel captain with a friend Capone pirates. Now, if you guys can't find any friend Capone pirates, do not stress, because you can actually use super type Boa as a friend captain and actually use her super typing to get that attack buff. So either way, using the fire tank pirates is going to give you guys more rewards, and that's why I've included them in this particular run, mainly because I do want to maximize my rewards. But you can actually also use super type Boa. That is another thing that you can do. Unfortunately, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think she gets her cooldowns. Yeah, she might not get her cooldowns. So you might need to just sort of replace the, what's it called? The Germa unit on this particular team with another attack booster for Psy. Off the top of my head, Luffy Sanji is probably your best option. That should work fine. As long as, or bring your own Luffy Sanji captain and then bring a friend Enel. The beautiful thing about bringing Enel, he has that end of turn damage as he auto triggers his special at the start of the fight. Once we hit Smoothie though, Smoothie's going to give us a full board of unfavorable slots. And with this particular team, they are actually all matching, which is really, really nice. What you can do here is you can use the White Knight Cavendish special to give yourself a full board of orbs and an attack buff, as well as an orb boost to driven units, but he is going to remove the Enel effect, so just be mindful of that, but don't stress, because you can just use the Enel special. We're going to use it anyway for the color affinity, so you are going to get that end of turn damage back no matter what. Once we hit the final stage against Katakuri, he is going to give us normal attacks only, and he has full immunity. He's going to special bind our crew, so that is something to note as well. So if you are bringing another character, actually, you really want to be able to get around that special bind. Actually, that's going to be a bit of an issue as well. I actually didn't think of that. Getting around the special bind might be a little bit challenging for most players. So ignore the super type Boa thing that I just mentioned. That's actually not going to work. I guess you could probably bring Shanks Crew. You could bring Shanks Crew as a friend captain. And that way you can replace the chain locker, or you can just sort of find a way to bring an attack boost over bringing the Germa. There's also that option for you guys as well. But with this particular team, we have an attack boost, we have color affinity and end of turn damage with Enel, we have a chain lock with Queen, as well as removing damage reduction once we get to that final stage, or past level 30 I should say, as well as having a 2.75 times orb boost with our Sakazuki and Borsalino. Finally, I've literally just bring Germa on this particular team, so we can hopefully use their super typing, but honestly, I don't even think that, yeah, no, it's not even available. So, your boy's a spoon. You didn't even bring someone for the super typing of Germa, so that was a bit of a blunder on my behalf. So like I said, easily just take Germa off, maybe bring a friend Captain Shanks Crew, and then just bring another attack booster there. So, that was the final side team. It was a little bit scuffed, but still will do the job fairly well. Let's move on to the final variation against the strength variation of Katakuri now. And the final variation of Katakuri is the strength variation. So this is the free-to-play team that we're using. We are bringing a friend Capone Pirates. These are the team, these are the supports. Let's dive in. So like I said with the other two free-to-play teams, you need to be bringing Capone Pirates for them to work. Otherwise, it is very, very tricky to get the damage output. Now, for this particular team, it doesn't have massive damage output. I think without taking boosted effects into consideration and like super effective against all types, this particular team only has something like 16 mil, so I don't really know how effective it's going to be moving forward. And then obviously once you hit stage 30, this team can actually get around the stage 30 debuff, which is just threshold, but the damage output is going to suffer a little bit. On stage 2, we come up against Flampe. Now, she is going to bind our top, bottom right, and middle left, so that's why having Okiku in the middle right or bottom left is going to be so effective, as we can actually get around that bind with her special and give us an orb buff. Now, we do have lots of matching orbs in this particular team. The Capone Pirates helps out significantly when it comes to that, and as you guys can see here, we should just be able to melt our girl Flampe. Unfortunately, Flampe is a different color to the final stage, so it does sort of hinder your teams, but having Shiryu and super effective against all types with the Capone Pirates or the Fire Tank Pirates does help out significantly. Once we move on to Katakuri, he is immune to delay and defense down. He gives us 5 turns of paralysis, a full board of recovery slots, and he makes them unfavorable. Now, if you rotate orbs, he actually has an interrupt where he gives you all block orbs and he seals them just like the Capone Pirates does. But if you have the Capone Pirates, you don't have to worry about it, as he can't actually manipulate your orbs now that we've actually locked them. We have color affinity with Shiryu, as well as some paralysis removal. We have an orb boost with Blackbeard, as well as removing 1 more turn of paralysis, which is really handy. And obviously the HP cut kicks in. So we've got our Blackbeard to remove the rest of the paralysis and to give us an orb boost. We're going to get another HP cut, which is a bit unfortunate. And then we have Fuji to give us a chain lock. And with that, we are in good stead to actually take this guy out. Now, the what's his name? Dofi. The Dofi is actually replaceable with basically any other unit that you guys really want to add to this particular team. But the Dofi actually just lets you, well, maintains the fact that you guys can get around the 30 plus. But the Fire Tank Pirates do that as well. I just had an extra slot there. You could probably bring a better orb booster, or you could bring a higher chain locker. I don't think there is a higher chain locker, but I'm sure there's probably a better orb booster somewhere. So that was the free-to-play team against Strength. Let's move on to my team now. And the final team in the video looks a little bit like this. So it's against the Strength variation, and in my prep video, I actually had another team for you guys, but I totally forgot that there was the recovery orb thing on the final stage, so it actually won't really work too well. If you have super type Kaido, however, though, you can actually abuse it, and I did want to just to explain that in this particular video. This particular team should work even without a friend Capone. But the idea of this particular team is on stage 2, if you actually stall a turn, you actually get burn. And then if you take advantage of that burn with Kaido, hit a couple of perfects, take the damage at the end of the turn, when you move into the following stage, it'll auto-trigger Kaido's special, which means you won't have to worry about that interrupt, as it's an auto-triggered special. Once you have rotated your orbs, I have been told that it doesn't matter if you rotate matching into matching, it won't actually trigger the interrupt. But over here on stage 2 against Flambe, if you do stall a turn, she gives you burn, and that's the big thing here. That way you can abuse the Kaido's special. To remove the bind, we're going to use the Magellan special. Magellan actually has the support of Hannibals for a little bit of extra damage on this particular stage as well. He also gives us color affinity as well, which is really good for the Capone Pirates or the Fire Tank Pirates, as that way we can actually give ourselves enough damage. Oh, the Brook's super effective against all types as well, and the Judge. Wow, okay, so these teams are not going to struggle at all. That's really good. I was under the impression it was just the Capone Pirates. It's taken me this long in the video to actually figure that out. Wow, good job, you spoon stump. Alright, so moving on to Katakuri, he's a strength unit who's immune to defense down and delay, gives us 5 turns of paralysis and a full board of recovery orbs, which he makes unfavorable. Now, like I said, if you do take advantage of that burn damage, you will be fine, because you can just auto-trigger Kaido, get the full board of orbs, and not trigger the interrupt. But with the friend captain of the Fire Tank Pirates, you can actually give yourself an attack buff. Now, if you aren't using this particular team, I would try and bring so if you're not using Fire Tank Pirates, I would try and bring a friend captain that can give you an attack buff. Something like another Magellan would be great, because that way you can actually apply the poison, and then you can actually get the attack boost with the other Magellan special. But utilizing Magellan here is great, because Magellan's actually going to give us a color affinity boost for our entire team. And because everything's super effective against all types, as well as having quick units, we are going to be in good stead. The only thing that we need to get around is that paralysis, which we can actually remove with the special of Brook. We have a chain lock. We don't even need Judge on this particular team. Judge is literally just here for points, and this team's just going to do so much damage moving forward. That wasn't even with the super typing, even though we didn't attack with the quick unit, but look, it is what it is. So that's going to wrap up today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to go in there and belt that like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Leave! Let's. Alright, I know I said I was done, but I actually really want to test this. So I am using the same quick team with a friend Magellan. Now, if you guys don't have the Brook and the Judge, obviously you can just replace them. You don't even need Brook because you have the paralysis removal with the friend captain of Magellan. And with Judge, he's literally just, he does nothing on this particular team. He's just here for the points, to be honest. But bringing a friend Magellan, like I said, is going to work really nicely as we can actually get the attack boost. And if you have a friend Magellan that has double special activation, it's actually going to work really, really nicely. Once we hit the Flampe stage, if you actually stall a turn, she gives you 3 turns of burn. But just be mindful that Magellan actually removes burn as well. So you actually want to use the Magellan special first. That way you can actually remove the bind. But you also get the color affinity buff. So what I'm actually going to do here, I'm actually just going to try and do like a little bit of damage to our girl Flampe. Got to be mindful of that poison as well, so you don't want to get her too low. But if you do stall a turn here, she is going to give you 3 turns of burn. Now that burn is around 5k, so what you can actually do here is just hit a couple of perfects. So if we just hit 3 perfects here, we are going to take 15k damage. And once we move on to the next stage, we should get the auto trigger of Kaido's special. That's how it should work. With the final stage, Katakuri is immune to defense down and delay. He gives us normal attacks only and 5 turns of paralysis, a full board of recovery orbs, and makes them unfavorable. With the auto trigger of Kaido, that will rotate our orbs. Now, I believe that this should not trigger the interrupt, right? Okay, so it doesn't trigger the interrupt, which is really, really handy. The downside is we can't actually use the Akainu special, because if we rotate those other orbs that aren't favorable, that is going to be a bit of an issue. So with the Akainu character, you kind of want to replace Akainu on this particular team, unfortunately. Akainu is really, really good though, because Akainu would give us an orb boost as well as a chain lock. The Brook gives us a chain lock as well, so you could easily just replace Brook with like something like Kamizo, I guess. You could also do some shenanigans with the Judge unit, and you could just bring a orb booster. But it is really good to see that Kaido trick actually does work. So if you guys don't have any friend Captain 5 tank pirates, you can use this particular trick. So this is actually going to wrap up the video, guys. Like I said, enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later!